So in this video, I'm going to show you how to write a great CV so recruiters are more likely to say yes, which isn't a bad thing, is it? So your CV will not get you a job. That's really important to remember, but it will get you an interview. And that's what you need to think about. How's it going to get the interview? So how are you going to entice the interviewers to want to interview, to say yes? How are you going to get the recruiters to think, they sound interesting, we need to have that conversation? That's the challenge that we're looking to answer in this video. So your CV is a summary of your career, a glimpse, the highlights. It is not a full-blown autobiography. And that's really quite important to remember. Think about yourself having to read this at the other end and having to read through lots of others. But before we get to that stage, naturally, a lot of these are scanned for keywords that I'm going to talk about in a moment. Now, this is a wonderful piece of advice I was once given quite a few years ago. Someone said that, if you're going for a job, and so are hundreds of others, and everybody has got exactly the same qualifications, they've got exactly the same, perhaps, career history, and they've got the same experiences, how are you going to stand out? How are you going to get that recruiter to look at your CV and think, they stand out? We need to have a conversation with these people because they've got great potential. So what makes you unique? What makes you stand out? And how are you going to present yourself to show off your personality and your attributes? So people are going to want to say, yes, we see that this person can bring value to our organisation in the future. Now, if you're going for a sales job, it's very important you explain how you will win more business for them. So personalise it. If you're going to go for a care job, you need to explain how you're best suited to care for their people. If you're going to go for a job serving, explain what great customer service and how you'll give that great customer service to their future clients and customers. If you're going to go for a design job, you need to articulate how you'll come up and create wonderful designs for the benefit of the business in the future. So don't just tell people what you've done in the past, talk about the value that you can bring to them in the future and how you will go about doing it. And this is really quite important, and making sure that you're personalising it, tailoring it to make it unique to that job, that you haven't just cut and paste, because that is a really quite important thing to do. Do tailor every single CV and cover letters. If you're going to do a cover letter, we'll come on to that. But please do not just cut and paste. If you're going to do that, good luck. You really do need to give it a lot more attention and time. So pick out the keywords that are in job adverts, in job roles and descriptions, and use them in your text. One size doesn't fit all, and it's very important to remember that. If they're looking for someone who's very organised, has great attention to detail, and has great creative skills, make sure that and other competencies they talk about are also in your CV, because we need to tailor it. And also technical competencies. If they're talking about technical competencies in the job adverts and the job descriptions and the job roles, you need to make sure that they're in your CV as well. But keep it truthful. There's no blagging here. You'll get found out, and that's really quite important. You're going to be dealing with some skilled interviewers. So what to include? Be careful trying to make it too fussy, too clever with lots of graphs and perhaps tables that sometimes people put in their CVs. They don't scan well onto HR systems and CRM systems that they use to scan CVs for the keywords. So I would encourage you to do no more than 2 pages, and perhaps really just talk about the last 10 years of your working career. Before that, just have one-liners, the job role and the value that you brought. Keep it very short and sweet, and focus on really what you've done in the last 10 years. Now, at the top of your CV, it's very important to have a compelling profile, and this highlights your skills, your attributes, your personalities, and the value that you'll bring. And there again, make sure it's tailored using the keywords again that we found in the job adverts and the descriptions. And think about all your experiences that you have had in the past. Don't just talk about them, this is what I've done, this is what I did and everything else. Talk about how those experiences will bring value to the job in the future. And as I said before, how you're therefore going to do that job. Not just what you've done in the past, but the value you're going to bring in the future. And yeah, talk about if you've got any figures to demonstrate the value you have brought in the past that you can then refer to and then look to the future. Really quite important. So if you've got any figures to demonstrate your performance or your effectiveness, that's really quite important. And if you can put those into figures or even monetary values, they will like you even more for those. Use positive keywords in your descriptions. Words like value, responsibility, focused, proactive, prioritisation, change, initiative, and provide examples of how you develop how you deliver and develop those competencies. Know what you're good at and make sure it's well highlighted in your CV. Now, the next part I want to talk about is the flow of your CV. It's very important. It's skimmable. Remember, once these have been scanned for the keywords and you've got through that, and all your keywords are showing up, and you've now got a human being hopefully looking at these. You need to be very easy to read, very skimmable, as we call it. So what are the key points really jumping out and really quite important? So have a flow to your CV that's skimmable and tells your career story as a story, and it has a really good link that if you have moved roles, explaining why you've moved them and why you're now best suited for this position because of what you've done in the past. And that's really quite important. Always think about the value you're going to bring, not just what you've done in the past. And if possible, the job title that you're applying for, try and have that in your CV. It may actually go in your profile at the top, or if it can go into the CV saying, look, my next step it would be now is to move into this role. If you can have that in your CV, that can quite often be a nice bonus. Now, a debatable subject now, and I briefly mentioned it earlier, is cover letters. Some people say, don't bother, you waste your time. But sometimes they get asked for. So if they've asked for a cover letter, make sure, guess what? It's personalised. My view is, if in doubt, do one. You never know. It could be the difference that you've done them and other people haven't. But I do appreciate sometimes they don't even get looked at. So that's a personal choice. But personally, I would give them a go. But make sure, as I said, they're personalised. Now, this next tip is really, really important. I'm always talking to people in my videos about future-proofing them, all a limited company, and we sell our time, our knowledge, our wisdom and our expertise and bundles of enthusiasm, and in return we get a wage. I'm always talking about that concept. But a limited company, it needs help. You can't just do it all on your own. Get some help. Really important. Don't just send this stuff out on your own. Ask friends and trusted colleagues in the past to help you. Yeah, get them to read through the job adverts, the job descriptions. What do they think the company's looking for? What do they think are the key words? Really quite important to get another set of eyes. Now, if you're like me and you don't do attention to detail, you need help. And if you're like me and your spelling's pretty rubbish and your grammar's pretty rubbish, get help. Really important. And yeah, just get perhaps a good friend, or as I said, a trusted colleague of past to look through it. And if they were the recruiter and they looked at your CV, what would they think? And perhaps a bit of tough love is sometimes needed. Really quite important. And also, is there anything you've missed? Read the CV out aloud, even perhaps do it on a video and watch it back, and then you'll think, yeah, does that flow? You can't do all this on your own. It's really, really important to do this. Really, really important. And remember the story I said at the start. If you've got lots of people going for the same job with the same qualifications, experience and work history, how are you going to stand out and how you're going to enable that recruiter to say yes? So, to summarise, keep your CV short and simple. Talk about the value. Think about what keywords they're looking for and what should be in your CV and cover letter and obviously the profile at the top. It's a sales tool, not a full-blown novel or autobiography. Yeah, think about the value that you bring with specific examples. Really important. And why you're applying for the role. Think about how it fits in your career and the story of your career. Give examples of why you'd be a great fit, the value. Personalise each and every CV and cover letter you send out. Really important. And make sure your profile has those core skills and keywords. And if you can get the job description of the role that you're going for in your CV, cover letters, really quite important as well. And get help, a second pair of eyes. We try and do it all on our own. We can't. Find other people that are in the same situation you. And that's a story for another video for another day, but really quite important. But above all, you need to look at that CV and think, how will this CV enable the recruiter to say yes? And that's what you've really got to think about. So please search the this YouTube channel for my other videos on recruitment and personal development and future-proofing yourself. But as ever, if there's any questions, please do get in contact. I'm more than happy to always help anybody with just a bit of advice here and there. So thank you for your time and all the best, and let me know how you get on.